Welcome tonight. Tonight is the night that I usually do Let's Talk for King's Pop-Up Show, which I kind of, for lack of better words, regarded my cousin for the night because I used his night to bring on my guest, which actually he's a part of this amazing group of people. Tonight we have verses, vibes, rhythm, rhymes, sounds, shine.
And
Interesting,
divine.
interesting name. So the first person that I'm going to talk to is Different Taste of Soul, and Different Taste of Soul. You're going to be the first person that I'm going to talk to. Give us a little bit about your background.
My background, poetry, of course, short stories. Did a little bit of hip hop, rapping a little bit, and poetry led me to realize I had a relationship with my stories that I wanted to tell differently with a different flow. So, then came the birth of Different Taste of Soul after publishing my first book. So, yeah, that's kind of how it started. That's where we at right now.
So let me ask you: have you ever been a part of a group, far as a collective on artistry, on coming together to be artists and being able to listen to other people's art? It not only is y'all working together, but I'm quite sure that you guys critique each other as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the best part is to be able to collaborate. This is one of the this is not my first one, but it's definitely more involvement in this here with the verses and vibes. And it's not my first roundabout, but it's definitely something more that I'm connected to and interested in doing. The collaboration is there, the connection is there, the teamship is there. And yeah, it's not my first one, but I'm definitely in a better position with this group right here.
Okay, okay. So how long? So I asked you before when you guys were on the poetry. I asked you behind the scenes, but so how long have you actually been writing poetry?
I've been writing poetry seriously for the past 2 years.
Okay, okay. And when we gonna put some? You got a book out?
I do have a book out. I have a volume one that's out, and I have a second. I have a volume two that's in editing right now.
Okay. So where can we find your book at?
You can find it on Amazon. Actually, that's the only place you can find it right now, or on hand. I do have copies on hand, which I'm in Las Vegas, but Amazon holds my original version of Shedding
How's
Skin.
and how's the response from your book coming? I mean, what is the response, the feedback that you get?
It's great. It's great. I think that the I want to redo it. I want to redo it and make some touches on the actual visual of it. But as far as the response from people around me, it's been great. Even the whole royalty energy is a great feeling to know how royalties work and everything like that. So the response has been great. It's given me a
Great,
different attitude about writing.
great. So different taste. So I know you got some stuff you got to take care of. Appreciate you for joining us, and I'm quite sure you'll be on one of the poetry corner shows, or West Side Connection. I'm quite sure Verse and Vibes will be on the platform as much as possible, and we look forward to
Absolutely,
hearing more from you.
absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the time.
No problem. I'm gonna bring up the birthday girl. Okay, usually when you guys have done your shows and stuff, you're usually never really you'll host it, but you never really do too much talking. And I
Hmm.
had, and to be perfectly honest with you, I had heard so much about you prior to you coming on, believe it or not. And I never really had an opportunity to really kick it with you. So this is your opportunity, first and foremost, and I know it's a birthday for you, so happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
So tell us who are you?
I am EB&Flo. I'm a mother of three sons. I'm an only girl, and I was born a poet. My father is a poet, and he's influenced me a lot. I performed my first poem in the first grade. It was a poem called Honey I Love by Eloise Greenfield. And ever since I've been writing, I wrote a memoir to my father at 8 years old and performed it at a fashion show at Compton College. And I've just been writing in composition books and journals like ever since I could think about it. So yeah, poetry is my life. It saved me.
So you said you was born a poet.
Yeah,
So you're because your dad. So you always had the creative mind to be able to be artistic, to be able to dream.
definitely.
Do you think that is important for younger black girls and black boys?
Definitely. I find that it's really important to dream for one, and to not only dream, but to know that you can manifest those dreams and make them come true, and to continuously write and to surround yourself with people who will push you forward. And so at first I would just write in journals, and I would read them to people and they would encourage me to keep on writing, but just everything about me was poetic. The way that I speak, I would always be rhyming without even trying. The way that poetry just would fill me up, I just knew like one day the world would hear my voice. And I believe it's a gift that's been given to me from the Most High God, and I want to share it with the world, and I want to leave, all of that part of me here when I leave, so that I know that at least I made a difference with my voice and I used my gift.
So I'm gonna ask you, and I know this might be a funny question, right?
Hmm.
Did you have an imaginary friend?
Very much so. I was the only girl, so I had many.
Yeah. So you had, yeah. The reason why is because I believe that most people who are like the only girl or the only boy amongst a bunch of people, you got to have that imaginary friend, and a lot of times the parents won't tell you this imaginary friend. You kind of grow out of it, and then you understand. Oh, that was an imaginary friend I was talking to. I'm glad they didn't have their own voice and start talking back to me, right?
Right. Yeah, but it was important because I was the only girl, so my imaginary friends were my teddy bears. I loved teddy bears, and we would have, sessions and concerts and everything in my pink room. And my brothers and my mothers knew they were not allowed. They had to knock because I was always in there just doing something creative. If it wasn't for, reading or writing, I would be listening to music and writing lyrics to the songs. So I was always just doing something to keep myself busy creatively.
Great, great. So I'm gonna bring you back up, and we'll continue talking because I just want to give everybody some time to give us some background about themselves, and
Definitely.
then we'll finish talking. Queen Kwani, you ready?
I'm here. I'm here. Hi.
Well, that's a cute avatar.
Thank you.
You shining, you shining.
Like I said, I'm doing a little bit of everything, so I
So
thought
so
maybe it would be
so
better if
so
y'all
I
just
know.
see that instead of me moving everywhere. I done went to the store, I done took some calls, but I'm here now. I'm
I
here.
know we had the opportunity to meet before, but tell us about yourself. You said you was laid back, and and you spit some bars, and then you jetted that day.
Well, that sums it up. That sounds like me. I'm born and raised in LA. This LA is all I know. I'm roaming these streets right now. I started writing poetry just after my grandfather died. It was like
Hmm.
my way of just getting over that grief because that was my favorite person in the world, and my whole life changed after that. And so that was just my cope, and it worked. And so now every time I go through a little something, I got a poem that go with it because it's how I get through it.
Yeah, yeah. So do you do a lot of writing?
Um, I can say that I got a couple of books of just how I feel at the moment.
How would you say your writing style is, and what would be your uh your writing? Some people write exotic poetry, inspirational type of poetry, poetry on the world views, political commentary type of poetry. What would be your strength?
I say it's more so personal feelings. Like I said, I write about what I go through. I don't really have an exotic poems. I probably have one, but most of my poems is like my relationship with my mom, or my relationship with my dad, or the guy who broke my heart, or the guy who violated me. It's always about something that I'm going through. So I only write about with what I know, how I
Mm,
feel, and it's just
okay,
real. I write my feelings on my sleeve and turn it into poetry.
okay, great. So we're gonna bring you back, and
All
I'm
right.
gonna talk to this Drea. You know, she's like the chef. You know,
Oh yeah, she go cook up something good.
you can unmute your mic.
Hello, everyone.
So you know you like the chef, the maestro, the minister of affairs.
Yes.
Drea, you know you said to me the other day, and this is why I'm gonna lead off with this question, that a lot of times you catch yourself doing so much for others and promoting others instead of promoting yourself and what you do. Tell us what you do.
Well, my name is Andrea, Miss Drea the poet. I am a mother of four. I'm a chef. I'm a poet, amongst other things, a friend. And I really believe that I was put here to serve others, like help people grow and just be a positive impact on people's life that will allow me to do so, right? With everything I know that you have to do to have discernment. So for me, making sure that other people succeed and then I will get, my blessings in return. I don't feel like because I do things for other people, I expect them to do anything for me. That's not how I'm built. I know that people have these different talents, and I just want to help nurture those talents. And that's what anything I worked in group homes for like over 20 years. And everybody would say, oh, this kid is bad. They're disruptive. They want to put them in jail or put them out or kick them out. My approach was get to know them, talk to them, treat them like they're a human being. And they used to always tell me, you can't get 20 girls to be in the same room together and cook or write and do poetry. So I created these different classes. I started teaching cooking classes, poetry, and we had not one fight. Everybody ate together, everybody cleaned up together, and the issues that they had with each other was outside of the groups that I had. And some of those issues I was able to, talk to them about men, their relationships. And so I would do this mirror exercise, even with myself, for self healing. You stand in the mirror and you just say like positive affirmations, good things about yourself. And a lot of times, women, children, or even men couldn't do it. Some of them will break down and cry because we're always taught that if you take pride in yourself, if you praise yourself, then you were conceited or, you thought you was better than somebody else. Why is that? So just trying to change that stigma in a narrative, because if you don't think that you're great, who else is going to think that? If you don't think your book is good, who else is going to buy that book? If you don't think your food is good, who's going to even want to taste it? Right? So I can't say if you ask me for a plate of food and you ask me how is it, and I say, oh, it's okay. You're not going to want some okay food. No, it's good. It is delicious. It's the best, you know? So just making sure like you take pride in yourself and just be understanding. And for me, I don't get upset. I don't be mad. If I get a little bothered by something, it's not for long, because who is going to hurt? Just me. So I try to talk it out, especially like with my children and people that's close to me and that I love, because I don't want any drama in my life. I want to try to live a long, healthy, prosperous life and help as many people as I can. I don't want to have enemies, which I know sometimes that's impossible, because sometimes people just don't like you just because of who you are or because other people love and care about you. So I found this poetry school, COLI. I started writing because my dad is a poet. My sisters are poets, and my dad was really good. So when he passed away, we found his box of poems, and he had this one poem called Panties. So he described all these different type of ladies and body parts and everything, and all these different kind of panties that he saw or he imagined, and the way he put it together was like really creative. So just his love for poetry and food, because he was also a cook, and my granddad was a chef, and everything. So I came from a lot of great dysfunctional people. So I learned how to turn that greatness and dysfunction into something better, for my life. Not um
One thing, when you start looking back at generational stuff, you may look at it and be like you said, dysfunction. And I always try to look at it as a way of, they just taught the kids how to survive. You know what I mean? Like, it, I don't think people realize how hard it was them just to survive each day. So a lot of stuff they kind of left out or just didn't deal with. And
yes,
and for us, they just said, I'm just gonna raise these kids just to survive. So let
exactly.
me ask you, you decided to bring King Atterbury on board of versus vibes, rhythm, rhymes, sound, sign. What was that decision like? What why him?
Well, when the connection with King was very, organic. So we vibed very well, with him. And he opened up like his show to myself and Ebony to assist him in co-hosting. And he got 20, how many? 50 books? 23. He working on the 23rd. I'm over exaggerating. But he's just an all around, great person. He introduced us to you, and you're also like a great human. I like the connection and just real people. So we have, in-depth conversations, him, myself, and Ebony. So the vibe was there. And so verses and vibes is just about vibing. So everybody's that's a part of the group. We all have this organic vibe, and everybody is dope, in their own way.
So this is
So
this is this is for all of you guys, and I put everybody up on the screen for the purpose. Anybody could answer. Like, where y'all going with this? Like, I know how King think. King is the type of person that he thinks big, and I know that I don't want to take from him. Where y'all going with this? I'll let him explain his vision. What's the vision of everything with this?
Well,
Everybody can answer at once, right?
I see it going a lot of different places. You know what I'm saying? I'm the East Coast, they're the West Coast, and I just want to say thank you for allowing me to join the group. You know what I'm saying? Just don't ever do me like David Ruffin or nothing like that.
No, we solid over here.
No, but I appreciate you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like for really inviting me in. You know what I'm saying? So my name in the group is Devon Tommy, and everything that I do is within Devon Tommy. So you know,
So let me ask you guys, because I always say this to King when we have our discussions, because I'm not a poet, and I've been blessed to be able to meet a lot of poets in what we in the in doing hosting and producing some of the shows.
Hmm.
Um, and I always compare poets to like hip hop artists. So how could you guys compete and support at the same time? What do you think coming to that medium is like? Because I know with King, his thing is, okay, let's spit these poems, let's get these poems, let's build, let's connect. And then he'll be like, you know what, let's just take it to a level of books. And then if he see that the energy's not there, I know he'll be like, well, I got to move forward.
Hmm.
So
but
I'm asking everybody else.
I don't feel like the group isn't like a competition. So we all have our unique things that we bring to the group, right? So just of our names, like Ebony, Ebb and Flow. She's the rhythm, right? So
Hmm.
and then different tastes of soul is the rhyme. So he kind of raps and do different things like that. And then Queen Kwani, she's the sound. She can sing.
Right.
I'm the shine. I put the light on everybody, right? And then Divine, he has all of these different gifts and talents that he could just push out a book like that. So we can all learn and grow from each other.
Right.
So we pick each other brains. We sometimes have these phone calls when we're all on the phone together. We spit our poetry. We critique each other on the poems. And it's not to be harsh. I want you to tell me the truth. If my poem is trash, tell me it's trash. Like, what do I need to change about it? I just want the brutal, honest truth. And sometimes people can't give that to you. Like I said before, I don't get upset. So if
I
different
have it as a listener, right? Like I always say, I have a unique view on a list in the ear to be able to listen to practically everybody. And I won't say that somebody's poems are complete trash. I would never describe it that way, Drea. I will say, and I keep it 100. If
Yeah.
you if it's dry, I'll tell you. And the reason why I say dry is because artistry is a form of expression.
Right.
So if your poem is not dear enough to you to convey to the listener how dear it is to me, or should it be to me, and it's dry, I'm like, okay, why are you giving me a dry poem and you telling me it means this much to you? And then I'll be like, it was a little dry. Because I believe that every artist should be able to love what they do. Like, Drea, if you're a cook, if you're people eat with their eyes. You can have the best food in the world. If it don't look appetizing, they ain't gonna try it.
exactly.
So with poetry and doing a virtual show outside of some of the other great shows that might just be voice, a virtual show, like I'm gonna look and see how your hand is moving, see if you're excited on being on the show, see if you care about your work. Because at the end of the day, your work is who you are.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Your work represents you. So I always will say, don't put me to sleep. Like,
Yeah.
don't be dry.
Yeah. But
So go
I'm
ahead, Ed.
what I've learned in this business is like a cipher, right? So it's just so much dopeness, and it's not a comparison type of thing. It's an iron sharpens iron type of thing. And what I've also learned is that there are a lot of gifted writers that are very bad at performing, and so I feel like a performing is um a cultivating sport. It's something that you get better and better with the more that you spit your pieces and the more that you are able to share it with the audience, and develop a sense of self, because it's like, yeah, everybody's not going to like my poetry. It's not for everyone, and I'm not going to like everyone's poetry, but that doesn't mean that I'm not listening, you know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that it's not good. So it's kind of like, it just depends on the poet and what they feel themselves when they articulate their poetry. Because for me, it fills me up. It's my passion. So every time I speak a word of poetry, it's like a light inside of me goes off. So yeah, basically I just feel like that. Poetry is a craft, and the more that you practice it, the more that you cultivate yourself.
If I could jump in on just to piggyback just a little bit on that. I mean, I think even with as Divine, or should I say as King, coming in as an addition, it's very news to me. And the best part about it is that I've always respected this brother's work since I was introduced to him from the first opportunity that I got to interview on Poetry Corner. So when I
Thanks.
heard, or once I got it, it was like, oh, okay, it's never, of course, you don't think too much of it. It's definitely not one of those David Ruffin situations, but it's definitely like, man, the picture just gets bigger. You know what I mean? Especially because there's so much value that's added to it. But to kind of dive into the whole iron sharpen iron statement, that's definitely true because It is. It's raw in the room with verses and vibes. It's raw because we've had those times. I've had those times where it's content, or I need to know your opinion on something, but give it to me in the poetry form, so to speak. Or we'll share things, and we want to. As a matter of fact, even he was already investing into the group by just bringing up the erotica. You know what I mean? And it was already right there, a connection that was made to me in my eyes, because that's exactly what we want as far as just personal workshop in the group of verses and vibes. But individually, we all have our own thing of what we're doing. So that support system just shows what we're building and behind the curtains backstage. Because when it comes to us traveling to the East Coast, when it comes to them coming to Vegas for shows, when it comes to us going down to Cali, you know what I mean? It's one thing. But when we on the stage and it's a duet, it's gonna be cold. Like it's gonna be hot, but it's gonna be cold. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to it. No telling what's to come, but from here to there, I'm definitely grateful for the process and the opportunity to work with these people and
Likewise.
everything that
True.
everybody's gonna get from it. 'Cause coming with some heat, like I said, individually and as a group, I know that we got something here, and it's beautiful to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you, King, and I know you mentioned this before. Give me you guys' view on writer's block. Is it possible to have writer's block?
Uh,
It's
oh,
possible, and that's why
good,
we
Dre.
get
Sorry.
together and we kind of like brainstorm off each other. Oh, like Ebony. I'm like, I got this poem yesterday, right? And we driving, and I'm like, but I don't have a title. And she was like, bam. And I'm like, oh, that's what we need. So just feeding off each other, just talking to each other. And then when I watch other shows that you have, then you follow each other on social media and see what each other's doing. Like Different Tastes of Soul saying support each other. He's having a show in a few weeks, and we're going to drive down there to support him and do some different things. We're gonna go visit King one day. King's gonna come out here and visit us. So just making sure we keep that connected connection,
Thanks.
and we just call each other and say, "Hi, what do you think about this?" King called me before, like, "I have this poem. Like, what you think about it?"
Right.
And I personally feel like this should never be writer's block. If you're a poet, you can grab inspiration from anywhere. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of my poetry, I work in healthcare. So even though I'm around different energy of these residents, I still find time to create something. I might just create the title first, and then I'll go into, the words and lines and everything like that. Might not finish it, might finish it up later on, but I still finish it. You know what I mean? But but
I
like
feel
Dre
like
said, we can feed off each other. You know what I mean? And y'all poets are dope and fly. That's why I wanted to be a part of the group.
Thank
Real.
Thank you.
thank you,
But
thank you,
then
thank you.
I have to give like my book when it comes out. Everybody in this group have to have a shout out in my book. Because you got everybody helped me build like some of the poems that I have. Even like from the bringing us on to the show co-hosting, I got a shout out so everybody go have a mention in the book because I appreciate people, you know. And you don't find a good group of people that you all could just vibe with, and it's no like disconnect, no hate or anything like that. We could
Right.
just talk it out, whatever issues we having. So it's like therapy,
you.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's something that we need, especially
More,
in
more love.
we find we go to a poetry school, we learn different things, but it's nothing like the real human connection, like the
Right.
authentic
Right.
connection. You
That's
know,
what I was thinking too. It's really a lack of inspiration or a lack of connection, maybe. When it comes down to it, I was listening to a brother. I think his name is something Mata, and I'm a big TED Talk fan. So whatever the topic is, I'm listening to him, and I'm just like, sometimes when it comes to your writing, you need to hear something or you need to have a connection to people that are constantly putting out content that you enjoy. You know what I mean? If you could sit back and watch each other's page, or what I'm saying, find an artist or artists in period that you can, it's just like playing ball. You can't be good at ball or realize how to shoot until you practice or you watch somebody shoot and seeing them do it. Then that's how you learn that you want to shoot better. I want to shoot from the three instead of just free throws. Or I want to do high energy poetry. I heard a poet the other night at the Mixer Lounge, and I never wrote that way. And ever since then, I've been wanting to do that. I heard Shaquan do a poetry where she used the fuck word, the F word, excuse my language, so many times. I wanted to write something about fucking. So it's like, it's just being inspired that's really what kicks it off. And when you get that dry spell, it's a cold, lonely room to be in, but eventually, some type of light would be shed around the right people, to clear out that blockage that you got. But I think it's a lack of inspiration, really, and
Yeah.
just being able to have the consciousness to look for something, or to call out to somebody, or to find that group and have that support system to say, hey, man, I don't know what's a right, but this is what I'm going through, or this is where I'm trying to come from. I just need a starting line, and I'm good.
Right.
I just need something.
Yeah.
Truth.
Facts.
Yeah.
We hear a lot of poets, like you said, that's monotone and you're not feeling it. They just like reading. It's like, who wrote this? Did you write it or somebody else? So I do understand that part where you're coming from. You got to feel it. For me, I never felt like I'm a spoken word poet. I just like to write. But like, I mean, like, girl, you could do it. You just said, so I was like, okay, the encouragement, you need that, right?
Do you think that it's a difference between spoken word and poetry?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Explain that.
You have to be an actor. You have to be able to animate, right? You have to be able to control or captivate a room. Like, I could talk to you all day about stuff or whatever, but I have to get out of that fear. It's not, I won't necessarily call it fear, but I just don't want to do that. Like, that's not what I want to do, right? Even like with math, I don't like math, and I feel like I can't really get math down packed because I have this negative feeling about it. So performing in front of people is negative to me, but I can get in front of hundreds of thousands of people and I can talk about a subject. I could talk about food. I could talk about poetry, and it's okay. But when it comes to the words that I wrote, it's kind of different, like Ebony, Different Tastes of Soul, and Shaquan, they are great performers, right? And that's something that I have to work on. And I know that. Like, I could write something all day and have somebody else read it. And I'm like, oh, that's dope. Like, Shaquan had read one of my poems, and I was like, yes. She's like, girl, that was you. You wrote that.
Right.
So it's just a difference, and I feel like a lot of the times it's innate. Like, you can become a great performer. Like, you can become a great actor. You can become a great, writer from practice. I can write anything. I used to write different programs for people. I used to do essays, resumes. I can do all of that stuff. I can write poetry, but when it comes to like performing it, it's different for me. But you got these guys. Like, I posted Shaquan's the FU poem, and she was really good.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you guys all a question. And Kwani, I apologize. I don't know what's wrong with the connection right now.
No,
What's going on?
it's my cousin keeps calling me, so every time she get a call, the volume to you guys goes off of my I guess my car. So I don't know how to get it back on unless I get out and then come back in.
Oh, okay.
You
Let me
put your
ask
phone
you
on
guys. And
focus.
you could say somebody here on the panel. You could say somebody else. What is it? A poet that like inspires you to like write when you having those days where you in a funk and you be like, oh, yeah, I ain't really beat. Like I said to a friend of mine today, it's like the world is moving 1,000 miles per hour, and you got to be able to catch up with what's going on, but not get caught up with what's going on. So when you in those type of situations, is it a poet that's like that's the one
Out of the
That
group, or just in general?
in general?
EB&Flo is cold when it comes to talking about stories in the streets. Her perception period about, I'm saying, anything in the hood. Um, she's just a go-to when it comes to being able to find a perception on how to write about the stuff that goes on in the hood. And she holds an energy about the way she writes about men. And I think it's one of her poems, one in particular, about gang members and fighting. And she goes through all of these streets, and she could have went with more hoods, but she put so much into it where it was like, her analogy, or however the word you say it, I'm not that big on my vocabulary, is not that wide, but I say exactly what I mean. If I had to think of it, each and every person in this room and in this group, I can compliment on the way that they write, and I admire the way that they put that out there. But EB&Flo, I'm definitely giving her the crown on this one because it's her birthday and she deserves it. And she's just a fire ass writer overall. And I believe that I favor her writing when it comes to talking about situations in the hood. Especially as a mother of three, she definitely a mother of three men, young raising young men. She's definitely has a tone of a woman's sense. Her perception is superb. She's just great. I would definitely put her up on the pedestal for that.
Thank you so much.
That's
Ditto.
what's up.
She made me
That's
cry
what's
a
up.
few times in class because she wrote about like the girls in the street and the prostitutes, and it just sat so close to my heart because I work with them. And just the way she put the words together, and then we share similar experiences with our mothers. So that, and also Shaquan, they had me crying a lot of times, in class. It's just different Taste of Soul had this poem when he was walking on the bridge or the freeway or something, and just the connections that
Hmm.
they have with the poetry and how you can relate to it. You can see it. So for me as a reader and a poet, I envision things like a movie.
Yeah.
So when they're speaking it, I can see that. So it's a connection. So I can have a connection. Some people I'm like, oh, I don't get it, or you lose that connection. Sometimes, right? And me and King talk about it all the time. He's have fallen asleep on a couple of poems sometimes. But
Well,
King, like,
and that's not to
You
that's
ain't
not
right,
to
Dre.
that's what I go back to the dryness of the poet is like
yeah,
you don't wanna box nobody in, but I understand when you have poetry shows that are in person why it's always a topic.
hmm
Hmm.
And they kind of don't do open mic as much because sometimes open mic will open up the door for an energy vampire.
Right.
And they totally oblivious to what they're doing because they're spitting how they feel and what's going on with them.
okay. Well, my thing, Q, is why you don't tell them the truth? Like in class, we sometimes, and it's like, oh, great job, you did really good, but tell them what they're doing wrong. And then people even call me like and say, well, I need better feedback. I need a group that can tell me the truth. And we don't always have that, right? And
Right.
that's why I like the truth. I got up at the first a couple of times and said a poem. Everybody loved it. But I felt like I was messing up and I was scared. So you never know the outcome.
I
I
might,
never
I might, I
rude.
might say to you, Dre, tell me about your relationship with I can't believe it's not butter.
Like I can write poetry about food.
How you sizzle in the skillet. How
I'm
you
serious.
spread across that bread.
Right.
I have a lot of
I
poems.
can't believe I'm in a stutter because it just cannot be butter. It's
And I know for you,
Yeah.
King, because I know you've been quiet, cousin. I mean, because you are the host of what is it, 4 shows a week now?
Monday it'd be 6.
Six
10.
shows, 6 shows a week. And I know you don't really tell anybody, but I know you had the opportunity to learn the craft from one of the all time greats.
Yeah, Mr. Abio Doom from the Last Poets. You
Yes.
know, a few years ago, actually, I came across not a poem, but one of his a video, and I was like, oh, I think it was Pellegrino, and it hearing him recite the poetry and everything upon the song and everything, it just resonated something to me, and I was just like, so I started changing how I looked at things, and that's the reason I say I don't get writer's block, because listening to him on that song, I remember what he's saying. Follow the rhythm, follow the melodies and everything. So
Hmm.
anytime I hear a song, I always walk around with headphones in my ear. One, I'm always listening to music all the time, so I might hear something and block the words out, and I'm like, yo, that was dope. Then I start writing. I might write like 4 lines, and then I just get into it later on when I get a free moment. That's
And
why I say
that's the one thing, and me and you talked about that how it's a lot of poets that need music. Instead, you could basically flow off of poetry because it is sound. No matter what we
yeah,
say,
Sam,
it's always sound. It could be a click of your watch, a bird chirping, a car passing. So it's sounds that we pick up. If you live by an airport, you'll hear the airplanes in the air. I mean, so it is like you may hear the wind
Yeah,
blow.
Yeah.
Like if you have a window,
basically.
and this is what I always say about doing shows is that you got to be careful with the mic because the mic pick up everything. So being able to pick up those rhythms and those tones, King, how has that helped you? You said it helped you when you listened to him recite Pellegrino, and
Yeah, it clicked to me when I about why when I hear sounds and stuff like that, my brain starts twerking, and I start writing real fast. I could write 16 lines in like 10 or 15 minutes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Not bragging like that, but I'm just saying because the repetition over the years of us starting the show and everything. So I start picking up on things a lot faster. Sometimes
Mhm.
I might, if I sit down and write a piece, it's gonna take me a little longer because I don't something in my brain just be like you try to be more, you know what I'm saying, articulate and complex with it and fancy dancy. And there's no need for that. I write everything on my phone. So it's like boop 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 and I'm done. You know what I'm saying? People are like, you just wrote that today? I'm like, yeah, a couple of hours ago. They were like,
Yeah.
yo, that shit was dope. I'm like, yeah, it was cool. I mean, that's just how I look at my work. I'm like, it was cool. But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? But I listen to other poets and I'm like, yo, that person is dope. They fly. I'm a fan of poetry as well.
mhm,
So I might hear something Ebony might spit and be like, yo, I like that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? The flow and everything. Damn. And then I'm like, after I get off like watching the show and everything, it might kick to me and I'm like, boom, boom, boom. I might write something along that speed of how she's spitting it on that and be like, yo, Eb, I want to do a collab with you. You know what I'm saying? I might hear something from Drea or different or Queen, and then be like, yo, I wrote this piece. Yo, I want to do a collab with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna send you this. You know what I mean? And rock off like that. That's each one teach one. You know what I'm saying? So
Definitely.
we all vibing together. See how it come together, you know what I'm saying? Verses and vibes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
We're
that's why I call
actually
myself divine, because everything is divine timing. You know what I mean? And
we're actually working on a group piece together. So we have to like get that all together
it's
and
gonna
come
be
back.
on music.
Huh?
It's gonna be on music.
I like to write to music. I like some of my poems to have the jazz in the background or the instrumental to match. Like my videos. You don't see my videos, Q?
Never seen not one video of yours.
No, yes, you have. I send them all the time.
You
Okay.
fell for it too. You fell for it too. Well, you guys. I know you guys have a show coming up later, West Side Connection, and I have some things I need to do, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Really appreciate you joining me tonight.
thank
Really appreciate King allowing me to, as I say, take his day on his pop up show, and
Jack his spot.
appreciate you guys coming on. I know that we look forward to seeing more of you guys work.
Thank you
Definitely.
so
Definitely,
much.
Thank you
definitely.
for
Thank
having us.
Thank you
All
so much
right.
for
Appreciate
having
you
us.
being there.
Make sure you all tune in tonight at 8 o'clock. West Side Connection coming through, coming true. You wouldn't want to miss it.
Eight
And
o'clock. 8 o'clock Pacific.
8
Yeah.
o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern, right? All
Yep.
right. So like and subscribe and meet us on the West Side. Good
West
night.
side.
All right. See
Up
you
and
at 8.
Good night.